With the combine wrapped up, I figured I would do another mock draft. Everyone's gotten to know the prospects a little bit better, and we are getting a better idea of what teams are looking for in the draft. So I wanted to run another fan mock draft to see how fan opinions have changed and to see what effect the combine had on the board. So I went into each team's subreddit to ask who their fans wanted to draft. Now I plan on doing another mock draft after free agency next week, so stay tuned for that. But let me lay out the rules for this mock draft. I asked each subreddit which player they would prefer to draft of the available players at their position. The most popular answer would be considered the pick. There won't be any trades in this mock, nor will there be any in the future ones. But before I get into what fans selected for their teams, please leave a like and sub. I'm trying to grow this channel, so any little bit helps. Anyway, on to the picks. With the first pick of the fan mock draft, the Tennessee Titans select Cam Ward, quarterback, Miami. The buzz from the combine was that Cam Ward was easily QB1 of this class. He has the physical talent to become a franchise quarterback. His strong arm and good mobility make him an enticing prospect for any QB-needy team. He didn't work out at the combine, which was disappointing, but it's not like he needed to. There are a few directions the Titans can go at one, and which way they go will depend on how they view Cam Ward with their roster. The Titans need a lot on their roster, and there are rumors the Titans could trade down from the spot, but we will see. Quarterback is just one of many needs for the Titans. With the second pick of the fan mock draft, the Cleveland Browns select Shedeur Sanders, quarterback, Colorado. A switch up from my last draft. Browns fans are a bit more willing to go for a quarterback. Last time it was a 50-50 between Abdul Carter and Shedeur Sanders, but this time Sanders was a more clear favorite. The Browns desperately need quarterback, but they also need a lot of other positions. Is Sanders really that good of a quarterback where you can pass up other elite talents for him? The buzz from the combine says no, and many scouts and analysts think Sanders could slide. We will see how desperate the Browns are for a quarterback on draft day. With the third pick of the fan mock draft, the New York Giants select Travis Hunter, cornerback, Colorado. This is a pick that doesn't change from my last mock draft, but the context of it does. Last time, Sanders was available in the spot, but with him being taken by the Browns, it would make more sense for the Giants to go after one of the most intriguing prospects we have ever seen come out of college. I personally think he should be a full-time corner and part-time receiver, but from what I've heard coming out of the combine is that many teams see him as a full-time wide receiver. I'm interested to see where Hunter plays in the NFL, but the Giants need a playmaker on either side of the ball. They need help at both corner and receiver, so wherever Hunter plays, it will help the Giants. I also expect the Giants to go after a quarterback in free agency. Joe Schoen's job is on the line, so I don't think he wants to rely on a rookie quarterback to save him. With the fourth pick of the fan mock draft, the New England Patriots select Abdul Carter, edge, Penn State. The Patriots go best player available here. The Patriots need help in the trenches, and Abdul Carter is an elite edge prospect that can become a game changer on defense. The Patriots roster is pretty barren, but they have the cap space to plug some holes. And if Carter was to fall to them here, it would be a home run selection. There's a small chance that Carter could slide in the draft with the foot injury that was discovered at the combine, but even without his pro day later this month, there's no chance he falls out of the top 5. Every team in the top 5 would love to have a prospect like Carter on their team. With the fifth pick of the fan mock draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Mason Graham, defensive tackle, Michigan. And the Jaguars get some much needed help in the trenches. The Jaguars had one of the worst interior defensive lines in the league last year. They couldn't get any push in the middle of their line to help their edge rushers get to the QB. Mason Graham would hopefully be able to fix that. In my opinion, he would be the final piece this line needs to become one of the best units in the league. With Eric Armstead moving back inside and Mason Smith developing behind him, this could become a very dangerous defensive line. If Mason Graham isn't available here, I would expect the Jaguars to look to trade down and either select Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks. With this sixth pick of the fan mock draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Will Johnson, cornerback, Michigan. Back-to-back Michigan players off the board. Since Shedeur Sanders isn't available, Raiders fans decided to help their secondary. The Raiders have a bottom-tier defense and they desperately need to inject talent into it. And they are losing some pieces from their defense like Trayvon Morgan, Nate Hobbs. Not necessarily great players, but you still need to find a way to replace them. Will Johnson will hopefully be able to help with that. Johnson has seemed to be fallen on draft boards as of late. Once seen as a potential top 5 pick, is now fallen to the mid-teens in a lot of mock drafts. He would be a decent fit with the Raiders, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him slip further. With the 7th pick of the fan mock draft, the New York Jets select Teteroa McMillan, wide receiver, Arizona. Another pick that hasn't changed from my last mock draft. The Jets are losing Devontae Adams this offseason and need to find a way to replace him. McMillan is a big wide receiver that can win those 50-50 balls. I would have liked to see him run at the combine, but he's still considered the top receiver anyway. But a good pro day will help his stock. McMillan would be a great pairing to Garrett Wilson. It would be one of the top receiving groups in the league if the Jets were to make this selection. However, the Jets need to find a way to get a quarterback this offseason, whether through free agency or the draft. With the 8th pick of the fan mock draft, the Carolina Panthers select Jalen Walker, linebacker, Georgia. The Panthers look to shore up their defense with this pick. A different player from my last mock draft, but a similar position. Jalen Walker can be seen as a hybrid player. He's a linebacker that can sometimes rush the passer like an edge. He's too small to be a full-time edge, and his combine measurements confirm that, though he could become a good linebacker in this league. He is still a bit raw, but he has great athletic talent. If he can develop his instincts and efficiency as a linebacker, he could become a key contributor to whichever team that drafts him. With the 9th pick of the fan mock draft, the New Orleans Saints select Will Campbell, offensive tackle, LSU. The Saints need help on their offensive line, and Will Campbell is still available here. He's a big, athletic guy with loads of talent. He's a very good run blocker and has gone against NFL caliber players in the SEC. Though the main issue with him is that he has short arms. 32-inch arms will not play tackle at the NFL level. I expect him to move inside to guard in the NFL, but I think he will be a very good guard. He has the talent and is still a massive dude. But with his short arms, I wouldn't be surprised if he slipped a little bit, even with his talent. With the 10th pick of the fan mock draft, the Chicago Bears select Armand Membu, offensive tackle, Mizzou. Another different player, but the same position in this mock draft. The Bears need serious help on the offensive line, and I'm not sure they can get everyone they need in free agency. Membu has been climbing up draft boards as of late. He had a great combine and was shown to be very athletic. Though he is a bit small for an NFL tackle, he is at least playable at tackle. He definitely has the skills to be a quality starter for wherever he plays on the line. He is technically sound and has good footwork. Whoever drafts him will be very happy. Don't be surprised if he manages to sneak his way into the top 5. With the 11th pick of the fan mock draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Walter Nolan, defensive tackle, Ole Miss. He's fast and twitchy, which allows him to cause constant disruption in the backfield. He has a great motor and is very versatile on the line. Though he doesn't have long arms, his use of leverage helps him overcome that. He has great potential as a pass rusher. He just needs to develop his moves a little more. He would be a good fit for the 49ers who need help in the trenches, both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. If he can develop as a pass rusher a little more, he could become a very good starter. With the 12th pick of the fan mock draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Ashton Jeanty, running back, Boise State. Considered as one of the elite prospects in this draft, he would be an immediate difference maker for whichever team ends up drafting him. The only reason he's falling out of the top 10 at all is because running back is a devalued position, and this is a pretty deep running back class. But the Cowboys need another weapon on offense, and Ashton Jeanty can be that guy. Cowboys fans weren't as thrilled to draft Jeanty this time around since they needed offensive line help even before Zach Martin retired. But if they can get someone in free agency, they probably won't, or maybe draft a lineman who's fallen in the second like Ursary, they will be okay. With the 13th pick of the fan mock draft, the Miami Dolphins select Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle, Texas. Dolphins fans somehow managed to get the exact same player as last time, despite a lot of O-line needy teams in front of them. The Dolphins need help in a lot of spots, but with Armstead potentially retiring, they need someone to replace him. Kelvin Banks could be a good option. He's an excellent pass protector. Though he doesn't have the ideal size to be an offensive tackle in the NFL, he definitely can play there. Though his run blocking could use some improvement, He has plenty of talent already. He can be a great starter for any team that drafts him, whether that be at tackle or guard. With the 14th pick of the fan mock draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Tyler Warren, tight end, Penn State. The Colts go after an offensive weapon for Richardson in this draft. The Colts have a few holes to fill, especially on defense, but when an offensive talent like this falls into your lap, you can't really pass it up. Warren is very easily one of the best players in this draft. He has a ton of versatility on the offense. Maybe the Colts are able to spend a little bit in free agency to make this pick possible, but even if they don't, it's tough to pass up Warren. This is Richardson's prove-it year, and if he can't prove that he can be a franchise quarterback, the Colts will need to move on. Selecting Warren here will allow Richardson every opportunity to prove he can be the guy for the Colts. With the 15th pick in the fan mock draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Michael Williams, edge, Georgia. Well, this time Williams doesn't fall super far like last draft. The Falcons need help on their defensive line, and Williams offers the upside it needs. He has great size and the talent to become an elite edge in the NFL, but his lack of experience is a concern. He hasn't had the game experience to really develop his pass rush ability. He is a great run defender already just because of his size and natural talent. However, he needs to develop his pass rush moves to really level up his game. If he can develop as a pass rusher, he can turn into a Pro Bowl level talent, but there is a very real chance where he doesn't develop and just becomes a solid rotational guy. With the 16th pick in the fan mock draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle, Michigan. The Cardinals have a big need on their defensive line, and they attempt to address it here with Grant. He is a big dude, though his arm length is a little disappointing. But for his size, he is uber athletic. He has an incredibly high ceiling with his traits. He's a stout run defender already, and has developed some pass rush moves. I don't really expect him to be a great pass rusher at the NFL level, but he should be good enough. He has a pretty high floor and a very good ceiling if he can develop further, but he should be a plus starter in the league. With the 17th pick in the fan mock draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Jihad Campo, linebacker, Alabama. Now here's a guy whose stock is up after the combine. He tested extremely well. Running a 4.5 as a linebacker is crazy, and he tested very well elsewhere. Linebacker is a devalued position, but I do expect Jihad Campbell to go earlier than where most linebackers would. He showed great promise at Alabama, tallying over 100 tackles this last season. This was his first real year of starting, and he showed a lot. The Bengals need help all over their defense, and Campbell could be a big contributor to their linebacker unit. He just needs a little more experience. With the 18th pick of the fan mock draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Tyler Booker, offensive guard, Alabama. He blew people away with his size and length at the combine. With the size number he has, he should be playing tackle, but his testing wasn't ideal. He doesn't have the athleticism you would want, but he still has a lot to like. He is a tone setter on the offensive line and plays with the grit you want to see. He is also an excellent pass blocker, though his run blocking does need some serious work. The Seattle Seahawks had one of the worst interior offensive line units in the league last year, so they need to seriously upgrade that entire unit. However, Schneider isn't one to value guards highly. Sure, Booker would fill a major need, but I'm not sure Schneider would spend a first-round pick on a guard. With the 19th pick of the fan mock draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Donovan Ezeraku, edge, Boston College. A surprise pick for sure. With both James Pierce and Mike Green still on the board, Bucs fans decide to go with Ezeraku. He does have good length and great athleticism, but his size is a serious question. He is very small for a full-time edge. Though he did have a lot of production in college with 16.5 sacks this past season, he is an excellent technician when it comes to rushing the passer. Despite his size, he's also had good production in the run game as well. However, his size will cause him to be a liability against larger NFL tackles. Despite his production, I don't see him being drafted in the first round, despite Mike Green and James Pierce falling. With the 20th pick in the fan mock draft, the Denver Broncos select Nick Emenwari, safety, South Carolina. Talk about a guy who elevated his stock at the combine. He had elite testing for a guy who is the size of a linebacker playing safety. He might have elevated himself into safety 1 talks with his performance. I mean, he's a freaky athlete with high-level production to back it up. This guy can do it all in the secondary. I'm not surprised he came off the board before Malachi Starks. Though he needs to refine his technique a little bit and work on his zone coverage, he will be a day 1 contributor for any team that ends up drafting him. With the 21st pick of the fan mock draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Jahdae Barron, cornerback, Texas. With all the buzz I've heard on Jahdae Barron, I'm very surprised he fell this far. He's a fantastic corner prospect who will be a day 1 contributor for any team that drafts him. He had pretty solid testing at the combine, so that will help his stock. Though he is a little small for a corner, he doesn't play like it. He plays with a ton of physicality, and his great coverage and ball skills combine into a do-it-all corner. The Steelers need help in their secondary, and if Barron was available here, they should jump on this opportunity. Though I really expect Barron to be selected somewhere in the teens. With the 22nd pick of the fan mock draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Colston Loveland, tight end, Michigan. The Chargers have a big need at tight end, and they address it here with a dynamic receiving threat. This is as perfect of a fit as you can get. He played for Harbaugh at Michigan and has a chance to play for him again with the Chargers. He's one of the best receiving tight ends in this draft, and the Chargers need more weapons on offense. The main issue with him is his play strength. It affects his blocking ability, and if he can't improve it, there's a good chance he will have a hard time staying on the field for all 3 downs. There are also some questions about his hands. He had some big drops against Penn State this last season, but I don't think that will be a major issue for him in the pros. Just something to look out for. With the 23rd pick of the fan mock draft, the Green Bay Packers select Matthew Golden, wide receiver, Texas. The Packers try to improve their receiving core with Golden. Golden isn't the biggest receiver, but he is blazing fast. Him running a 4.29 at the combine shot his draft stock up. He's not just a burner though. He's a great route runner as well and is a dynamic run after the catch guy. He does need to bulk up a little bit and he does have an injury history, but he's still a great receiver prospect. Though the Packers do have some bigger needs on defense, I can see why it's hard to pass up on a receiver like this. With the 24th pick of the fan mock draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Derek Harmon, defensive tackle, Oregon. Vikings fans decide to help their defensive line with this pick. A very good option too with the option still available. He has very good size and athleticism, and it showed at Oregon. He dominated against double teams and caused constant disruption in the backfield. He also had a nice 40 time at the combine, running a sub 5 despite being 313 pounds. He's great in both pass and run defense, so that should improve the Vikings run defense if they were to draft him. One thing he does need to work on is his tackling. Tries to arm tackle too often. And you could question if he can really be good at the next level since he's only really got 1 good year under his belt. But if he can continue to improve his game, he could be a plus starter in the league. The one thing I would look at the Vikings is they're a prime team to trade down with the limited picks they have. With the 25th pick of the fan mock draft, the Houston Texans select Malachi Starks, safety, Georgia. Starks has been slipping as of late. He had a rather uninspiring combine and has seemingly been passed by Emanwari. But Starks is still a great player. He's an elite run defender with great short area quickness. He's also a former track star, and that speed shows up on tape. He's faster than his 4.5 at the combine may imply, though he does have some limitations in coverage. He's not very good in man coverage, and his zone coverage does need some improvement. However, if a team can scheme him well, he can be a very good player for them. The Texans are an interesting fit. They need offensive line, defensive tackle, and wide receiver more than safety, but it's not out of the question, especially since Stark is still considered a top prospect. With the 26th pick of the fan mock draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver, Ohio State. Egbuka slides a little bit in this mock draft. The Rams do need someone in the slot since they are letting Cooper Kupp go. Egbuka would be a perfect fit for the Rams since he's primarily a slot receiver. I mean, Egbuka is a great prospect. He has elite speed and has technical prowess running routes. He's a plug-and-play starter for any team that drafts him. I don't think he will be the next big thing at wide receiver, but he should be a high-quality starter. He would be a great pairing to Puka Nacua in LA. With the 27th pick of the fan mock draft, the Baltimore Ravens select James Pierce Jr., edge, Tennessee. Pierce's fall finally ends here. During the combine, a report came out that Pierce has fallen on teams' draft boards because of character concerns. Not sure how credible that report is, but it did cause fans to devalue him in this mock draft. Other reasons he could be fallen include him relying on traits more than technique, and concerns about his run defense. Yes, he's a bit raw, but not that raw. He has shown good hand usage in college and has great instincts. Combined with great athletic ability, he should be viewed as a top edge prospect. I believe some of the concerns causing him to drop are overblown, and someone down the board will get a great player if he falls. With the 28th pick of the fan mock draft, the Detroit Lions select Shamar Stewart, edge, Texas A&M. Now here's a guy who lit up the combine. He had easily the best combine performance out of anyone this year. I expect him to go a lot higher than 28. The reason he's so low on the board in this mock draft is because of his non-existent production in college. But guys like this have worked out before. Just look at Trayvon Walker as an example. He's arguably a top 15 edge player in the league right now, and he still has room to grow. These types of players usually take time to develop. Also, the scheme that Texas A&M runs does affect the production of their defensive line. They do a lot more than just rush the passer. At the Senior Bowl, Stewart dominated one-on-ones when he was allowed to just win against blocks. I don't really expect Stewart to be a day one impact player, but in 2 to 3 years' time, he could become a high-quality starter. With the 29th pick of the fan mock draft, the Washington Commanders select Josh Simmons, offensive tackle, Ohio State. Simmons is a great tackle prospect. Before his knee injury, he was easily seen as one of the top tackles this draft. He was extremely effective in the screen game and is a very good pass blocker. With good size and athleticism combined with great footwork and technical skills, you get a day one starter. But of course, his knee injury brings serious concerns. From what I've seen, he's progressing very well from his knee injury, and if he gets cleared by his pro day, he should fly up draft boards. The Commanders need serious help with their offensive line, so if Simmons is there at 29, they should run up to submit their pick. With the 30th pick of the fan mock draft, the Buffalo Bills select Luther Burden III, wide receiver, Mizzou. Burden's fall finally ends here. It kind of surprised me since I've heard that Burden could go near the top 10 in the draft. I think he goes late teens, early 20s, but him being available this late is pretty crazy. It just seemed like not many fans really wanted him. I think his production going down this past season and not having an impressive combine has something to do with his stock going down. But he's still a great slot receiver that is just an absolute playmaker. For the Bills here, it's an absolute steal. Khalil Shakir has been a solid slot receiver, but Burden is just a better playmaker. Burden can line up outside for some plays, so don't think he's only a slot receiver. You can move him around on the formation and just get the ball in his hands. With the 31st pick in the fan mock draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select Josh Connerly, offensive tackle, Oregon. The Chiefs look to improve their offensive line. They got punished in the Super Bowl by the Eagles, so they really need to improve their unit. They just shipped off one of their guards while making this video, so I feel like it's a guarantee they go O-line in this draft. Connerly is consistently available here in mock drafts, so I expect him to go to the Chiefs. He's an elite pass protector. He also had a good combine performance, so he showed he has a good ceiling too. He does need to improve his run blocking, but with how his play strength has improved over the past few years, I do expect him to get better at it. He also has the ability to stick at tackle, but could move to guard if the Chiefs choose to do so. With the 32nd pick of the fan mock draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Nick Scorton, edge, Texas A&M. The Eagles add to their already elite defensive line. However, they will lose some pieces from that line this offseason, so they need to add someone in the draft, but they should have some good options around this range. Scorton is already a good pass rusher. He has great explosiveness and some refinement to his game. He has a number of pass rush moves in his arsenal. Now his tackling isn't the greatest, but with some good coaching, he should be able to improve his technique. And that's the mock draft. A lot of things have changed since my last mock draft. Some moves have been made, and the combine caused some big risers and fallers. Mike Green is a notable one. He's a great football player, but some serious off the field stuff could see him fall out of the first round entirely. Free agency is next week, so there will be a lot more changes to this mock draft. Anyway, see you guys next week.